Hello, it is FMC. I am Jeremy. That is SP3. How you doing, buddy? Look at
I
this
came
this
I
nice
came all
shirt you
dapper.
got going
I'm
on.
a button my top button too, so I'm really dapper because
Do you go?
it's
Do you go
engagement
top
party.
button? Do you go
Sometimes,
top button like usual? I
sometimes.
never,
Yeah, sometimes
never.
I do. It looks nicer. I look like I'm going to church and stuff.
It does
So
it does look nicer. I never go top button. Like I can't. It's too tight. Like it's too tight around my throat. I don't like it. We were doing Easter pictures the other week, and like the kids like rarely wear collared shirts outside of like nice stuff, but we were doing Easter pictures and we were at church and everything, and like the oldest like pops his collar and he thought it was like the coolest thing ever. So he like popped his collar. So we're at church, right? And we're taking these nice pictures in front of like this. They got this like waterfall at church, which is really cool. We're taking like these nice photos and stuff with everybody, and and Ashley, or I just gave the shoot name out. Sorry. And the EP is like, okay, we're done. And I'm like, no, hold on 1 second. I was like, pop your collar. And so I told the oldest, like, pop your collar. And then everybody starts popping. And so I pop mine as well. Because she was having so much fun with it. And she just looks at me and she's like, cannot stand you. Like, just cannot stand you. I'm like,
I
why? You're
love
just
how
having fun with it all day.
we influence the youth. That's how you
Yeah.
influence the youth. You embrace their popping of the collar. Remember when that was the thing? Remember the song "Pop My Collar"? Pop my
Oh,
collar.
bringing that back. Bringing that back.
Absolutely. Hashtag pop your collars. There we go. It's Pop Your Collar Friday. It's an engagement party. Congratulations to you and
Thanks.
EP. I was so happy to see that. You're putting extra pressure on me. I had to look up engagement rings this week for for my other half. I'm always calling her wifey, but I
I
gotta
was about to
make
say,
it
I thought you
official.
guys were married because you call her wifey. So I thought like that was already official.
When you have two kids in one shot, you might as well start calling her wifey.
True.
Like
True.
so I gotta make it official. I'm waiting until the finances is right, but I want to say congratulations to y'all. Y'all are one of my favorite couples out there. Love your banter on social media. The stories from wifey's Twitter is always fun of your car rides and you listen to music and stuff. Love it. Love all the stuff I see. So I'm very happy for y'all.
She hates my musical choices. Let's have this discussion, SP3. First off, thank you. Thank you again. Appreciate everybody saying thank you. Everyone's invited to the wedding, like legit. I don't really have like a lot of friends here since I just moved here last year. And like she's lived here her entire life. So like her whole family's here and everything. Like I don't have all my friends are just through Twitter and online. I mean, that's how we met, was through Twitter.
Yeah.
So legitimately, please, everybody who is a pal on Twitter, come to the wedding. SP, I legit need your address, and you are invited to the wedding. I'm putting out like an open invitation of everybody, please come to the wedding. But I do hope that a lot of the wrestling media pals will attend the wedding. I thought about like having it like all out weekend or something, and just being like, what's more important to you guys, my wedding or this AEW event? What? Come on, Sean. Come on, Denise. Like, what's more, John Alba? What's more important to you guys? You going to All Out, or you coming to my wedding? But I'm not gonna.
That's evil. That is so evil, and I love it. I love it so much. That's the best idea I've heard so far. But yes, I am ready for it. I'm ready for it. We always see the bits at the reception, the wrestling bits. I want you and the
Oh,
EP to do Owen and Brett during your reception, like
she's
your Cash and Dax doing Owen Hart and Brett.
she's gonna kick my leg out of my leg. That's not good. She's talked about we need Miro popping out of the cake. Like we need this person showing up, that person. There's a strong possibility Luther shows up because like that's an actual like friend and
Yeah.
pal. We went to Dynamite last week, and then afterwards like we just hung out at the hotel with Luther for 2 hours just talking to him. So like that's like an actual pal and stuff. So there's a strong possibility that like he is there. There are other people that could potentially. She's told me if I get Bret Hart there, which that's gonna be a tough one to pull off. But if I get Bret there, I can just wear whatever I want. And like I'm going Danielson, white t-shirt, jeans. I want to wear like a beanie. You seen that dude? You watch Too Hot to Handle now. The dude
Yeah,
that comes rolling in with the beanie on, it's like season 2. The
yeah.
guy who like smokes weed and shit. Like, yeah, him. I think he was from like Hawaii or something, or Colorado. One of those like very chill, laid back, let's smoke a
Yeah.
bunch of weed places. But like he came up with a beanie, and then when we were watching, I was like, what if I just wore that to our wedding? This is before we engaged and everything. I was like, what if I wore that to the wedding and stuff? And she's like, absolutely not. So then as we continued to discuss our wedding plans and everything, I was like, what if I get like this person there? She's like, if you can do all this, like you can just do whatever you want at the wedding. So if I get Bret Hart, there are other people, Adam Cole and Britt Baker. If they are there, I can kind of get away with anything. Sean's like, he's friendly with them. He just interviewed them. So I might call in some favors from Sean Ross Sapp and be like, I need these people at my wedding so I can just wear a white t-shirt and jeans.
Come out with the plain white tee. That would be vintage Jeremy. I would love
They did. I gotta have the
it.
Danielson look, man. That's the goat right there. A-Shock says invite Nyla Rose to throw Serpentico to the wedding. Serpentico's like an actual pal as well, so he might be there, and he's obviously friendly with now. I might be able to pull that off, maybe.
There you go. We're getting the invite list together on air, ladies and gentlemen. This is what male engagement parties are all about. You rarely see it, and you're seeing one live right here on FMC. I see in the comments. I gotta apologize officially that my era of being a Nets fan is over, ladies and gentlemen.
That went well. How'd that go for you?
It lasted a week, ladies and gentlemen. The only playoff series that I've gotten wrong so far, and it's because I tried to stick with family. I tried to stick with my hometown. I learned my lesson. I never have rooted for a hometown basketball team in my life. I've never rooted for the Knicks, never rooted for the Nets. I used to go to New Jersey Nets playoff games all the time. Never rooted for them. Always rooted for the other team. But I learned my lesson. I will never root for Brooklyn. I would never root for New York in basketball ever again. KD and Kyrie let me down. It's all right. It's all right. Kyrie did too much sacrificing over the last year. So he didn't have enough in these playoffs. But we were actually right because we said at the beginning of the series that this is Jason Tatum's series to win or lose. And he won it. He shut down KD a lot of times. He had 30-something points. The last game, that, what was it, 35, 6 and 6 steals. Congratulations to every Celtics fan. Congratulations to Bad Company Bill. A-Shock to answer you. The only New York team I ever root for is the Yankees because I literally lived 5 blocks from the Yankees most of my life. So I could literally go to my terrace and I can know when the Yankees hit a home run because you can hear the roar from Yankee Stadium. So that's the only New York team I ever root for. I don't root for the Giants. I don't root for the Jets. I don't root for the Knicks. I don't root for the Rangers. I don't root for the Nets. I don't root for the Islanders. I don't root for any of these New York teams except for the Yankees. And I won't ever again. I learned my lesson. Boston, congratulations. And your reward for beating the Nets, sweeping the Nets, is losing to the Bucks in 7 games because I'm rooting for the Bucks.
Middleton being out kind of really hurts the Bucks in that series. It's very unfortunate because Middleton's their second best player. He's obviously very important. I love Giannis. I think he's the best player in the league. Middleton's the guy who creates his own shot, though. Like, that's their tough shot maker. And, like, you just need those guys especially against a defense like the Celtics. I think Boston wins this series. I think Giannis I think he has, like, just a top series, though. Like, I think he's going to go off in a lot of these games. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. So my friend and I were talking about this because the knock on the Nets was that, like, Durant was just locked up for 3 of the 4 games. He finally came alive in game 4. It was too little too late. Or he just didn't do anything. Yeah. And you got to credit Boston for the way they played him defensively. I think there's some blame to go on the Nets coaching for not, like, getting him just like better shots, finding ways to get him free and everything. Their spacing was certainly an issue, but like you got to figure out a way to get the ball to Kevin Durant. Game 4 kind of showed that like, hey, if Kevin Durant just like wants to be aggressive and just like do these things, he can. Is like, where was this? At least by game 3. Game 1, okay, adjusting. Game 2, maybe like probably still should have been. Game 3, like you're down 2-0. It definitely should have been a case of like, hey, Kevin Durant, can you please show up in this series?
Yeah.
Game 4, too little, too late. I think Giannis has more of that I don't give a fuck attitude than Kevin Durant, where he's just going to take the ball and he's like, I'm going to put my head down, I'm going to drive, and I don't give a shit if you're throwing all 5 guys at me. Like, this is what we're going to do. So I expect that the Boston defense, they'll probably still have some good success against Giannis because their defense is just great. I do expect Giannis will just take matters upon himself more than Kevin Durant did, and that'll be different for Boston. I don't think Budenholzer is like a great coach or anything. I know he won the title, but I still like just don't buy him as like a top tier coach or anything like that. He clearly knows like he's had success with this team and can at least adjust to what Boston's got, where Steve Nash just looked in over his head in a lot of this stuff. So it'll be a tougher series for Boston without Middleton, though. I do like Boston in probably 6. If Giannis takes it to 7, that's all. If Giannis wins this series, like that says a lot for his legacy. No Middleton, and you beat Boston, who right now like looks like the favorites in the East.
Yeah.
No offense to the Heat, and we'll get to them in a second, but right now, like Boston looks like the favorites after sweeping the Nets. Bad Company Bill says they ran the old OKC year to mark. Yeah, my friend and I joked about that a lot. You know, being OKC fans, we're like, that's their offense. It's just Kyrie and KD just taking turns and stuff. The difference is like Westbrook gets a bad rap, especially now. Back in the day, he would defer to Durant a lot. Like people, if you watch the OKC games, like he would often defer to Durant. I don't think Kyrie's like great at just like running an offense. Like he just kind of like looks for his own shots and shit. He's a great shot maker and creator, but like he doesn't like really run an offense. And it worked out how it worked out. Kyrie was great in game 1, wasn't there the rest of the series. There's a lot wrong in Brooklyn. It was a tough season for them, like from start to finish. A lot happened. I can't imagine the mental toll all of that took. I'm not even going to get into the Ben Simmons stuff because that seems to be a lot of like mental health and like yips and everything. And like, I'm not commenting on that kind of stuff. If he's really struggling with that, then like best wishes to him. I hope things get better. I hope to see him play basketball again because I do think he would be great on the Nets. But yeah, a lot went wrong for them. We still kind of thought, look, you got KD and Kyrie, you can kind of make it happen. And they didn't. They got swept.
We said the best player on the court is usually going to win in these playoff series, but we didn't. We kind of said it though. We said that Jason Tatum has the potential to be the best player on the court, and he was. Like the gap between Tatum and KD very much shortened, and a lot of people are saying KD's not even in their top 10 players in the league now after that series, which is a little extreme in my opinion. That's a very extreme. I enjoyed the banter though between KD and Charles Barkley. It created a lot of great conversation on Inside the NBA, especially with KD going on Instagram with the Houston Rockets photo and then the Philadelphia 76ers photo, and it was just like, man, he's just missing the context of it all. It's too funny, but it created some fun banter. Charles Barkley was on one. He was not happy about that whole conversation, and he hates when it gets brought up that he's like he hasn't won a championship. You could tell it still bothers him to this day when someone brings it up, and the fact that KD had to be that guy when no one. I hate to say this to KD because I was backing you up for the last 2 episodes. I was a Nets fan for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, I was a Nets fan, and I was backing up KD, and I said, you're a 2-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, an NBA regular season MVP, but your 2 championships is probably the most, like, the most ridiculed 2 championships of any superstar in history. even more than the 2020 Lakers bubble championship, I think that TD's championships with the Golden State Warriors get ridiculed more. And you had Charles Barkley even saying that he wasn't even the best player on those two championship teams, which was out of line. That was I was like, now you know Charles is hurt because this dude averaged 35 points in the NBA Finals. Don't tell me he wasn't the best player on those teams. So I love the banter that it created, but the Nets, they showed that this type of offense with the coach that they had that didn't have experience before he became a coach, really, this is not working. And I think that they're finally getting the scrutiny that the Clippers got during the bubble, where the Lakers got pretty much the last 2 seasons. I said it on Twitter and I'll say it here. The Lakers' whole era with LeBron James since he came over to 2019, I feel that a lot of people are not giving it the same, not giving the same level of scrutiny to the Clippers era with KD and Kyrie until now, or the Clippers era with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I stand by that because I feel like they got a lot of heat for 2020, but because of the injuries, they haven't got the heat the last 2 years. But we need to keep the same energy and scrutinize that move because Kawhi should have never left Toronto. I said that in 2019 and I'll stand by it. Why would you leave a team? You just won the NBA championships. You saw how it was in the East. You could do load management in the East and you would be fine. The East is improved now, but I think that Toronto with the squad they got now, maybe they don't get the same, Scotty Barnes and other guys that they got.
They definitely don't get Scotty Barnes if they
they probably not. But Kawhi, if a healthy Kawhi, if you're doing load management, I think I'll take that over Scotty Barnes, honestly. Yeah. Even though Scotty Barnes is a great player and he's the rookie of the year, we called that correct. Oh, well, I called that correctly. You have Evan Mobley, but yeah. Even if you don't have Scotty Barnes and you got Kawhi Leonard with the team that they already have, they'd be a top 3 seed. It just didn't make any sense then. It doesn't make any sense 3 years later.
I was kind of upset when Kawhi left Toronto because I wanted to see him defend the title with Toronto. So that was disappointing. And then he goes to the Clippers and he basically begs them to trade for another star and they get Paul George, which was fine. That worked out well for OKC this year with all them injuries. We got that second lottery pick. But so with the Nets getting the scrutiny, I agree with you. Here's why they don't, though, and it's all the fault of your Lakers. Because if the Lakers weren't so terrible this year, then the Nets would have gotten this scrutiny. But the Lakers were also so bad that the Nets just avoided some of it. Look, they got it, and they deserved it after that first round. They can talk about how long of a season it was and everything that went wrong for them, true, but they deserved all the scrutiny. The way they played, not winning a game, I really thought that they would. I thought the series might go 6 or 7. After they got swept, I was texting my friend. I was like, it's still kind of unbelievable that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving just got swept. I know that the team around them wasn't great. I know Boston was really good. You would think with those two, you'd win a game. Getting swept was something else. It was. It's still kind of unbelievable. We'll see what the Nets do next season. Go ahead.
And it's the way they got swept. When they're in Brooklyn, did they ever have a lead? Because I watched both of those games, and I don't remember. I think they got maybe one lead the entire 2 games in Brooklyn. And this is what I said, last week when I didn't go back on my pick of the Nets because I said, Boston took care of business in their home on their home court. Let's see what the Nets do on their home court, and they didn't show up. They had maybe one lead in Brooklyn. That's ridiculous. The Celtics, I do agree. They were slept on. They look like the best team in the East. And if it was any other team, I would say, yeah, they're gonna beat the Bucks. I would take them in 6 or 7 over the Bucks. But because my heart bleeds purple and gold, I can never root for the Boston Celtics. But since I am doing a basketball show, I'm gonna say Boston in 7 is what my head is saying, but my heart is saying Bucks in 7.
I'm going Boston. Without Middleton, I can't pick the Bucks. Like, if Giannis, and I know there's more than Giannis, if Giannis wins this series, that's like GOAT stuff right there because he has no business winning this series. It's not that the Bucks are a bad team or anything, but you don't have your second best player and a guy who typically like does well against Boston and a guy like you need against this Boston team. Just a guy who is good at creating, good at making shots, like a tough shot maker. Like you need like somebody like this. But to not have him, it's going to be a tough out for it's just going to be a tough out for Milwaukee, and I don't see how they win this series. But if they do, Giannis is obviously he's going to have an otherworldly performance, and I ain't putting it past that guy. That guy's on a different level right now. Boston's just a better team. They have just as much talent as Milwaukee, even though Tatum isn't like Giannis level. He clearly ascended in the first round, and he's really, really good. And then you throw in Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Al Horford is just for some reason went OKC legend. Al Horford, by the way, I can't tell you how big I popped. First of all, Marcus Smart was trying to go at I think it might have been Blake Griffin for that layup when he didn't need to. He could have just like gotten fouled because the shot clock was off. I don't know what he was doing there, but the OKC legend Al Horford cleaning that up. Good shit by my man Al Horford securing the series for the Celtics. The thing with Brooklyn is like all the games were close, right? Like there was no blowouts. Like all the games were close. They should have won game one. They were seconds away from winning game one. Who knows how the series plays out if they win that game. But they just didn't have enough by the end of it. And some of that comes down, I mean, a good chunk of that comes down to like KD and Kyrie because the rest of the team, because they didn't play well. So like the rest of the team kept them in those games until the fourth quarter. And then you would expect your two stars, one of them to like take over and hit these shots. They couldn't do it. Durant missed a lot of shots down the stretch in game four. Kyrie was missing shots down the stretch in the other two games. Like they weren't hitting shots down the stretch, and Boston made winning plays. I'm very interested to see what the Nets do off season Jeremy says 4.5 average point sleep, third smallest ever. Yeah, all the games were close. It's not like they got blown out in any of this stuff. I'm interested to see what they do with Ben Simmons plays because like you got KD, Kyrie, you're still going to be a great team. As far as Boston, Milwaukee goes, I like Boston. Milwaukee and Chicago, I mean, we touched on briefly. It kind of went how we thought. Gentleman's sweep, even with Middleton out, like the Bulls just didn't have the firepower, especially the last game once Levine and Caruso were ruled out. It's like, yeah, you can call this series a wrap. And the Bulls got one. DeRozan played well in that one game, and then the rest of the series, he was playoff DeMar DeRozan.
Pretty much. I'm gonna say what a lot of Knicks fans, all my Knicks fans friends have been saying all week. They've been like, "Oh, we won the same amount of playoff games as the Nets." That's because Knicks fans hate the Nets. So I'm gonna shout out to Bob O'Neill. Your Bulls won one more game than the Lakers did in the playoffs. Congratulations, one more. Just one more. But yeah, I mean, and that came down to Middleton getting injured, honestly. I don't think if Middleton doesn't get injured, I think that's a sweep. And I think that we'd be looking at this Boston Milwaukee series a little different. But yeah, that went pretty much how we expected. Giannis dominated game 5, put them away. I'm proud of the real MVP, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid overcame the two anchors on his ankles in this first round of Doc Rivers being his coach and James Harden being a choke. And he survived and put up some big numbers to put away the Toronto Raptors. Got to hand it to Toronto because they played hard. We're being down 3-0 and bringing it to a game 6. They deserve credit, but I'm proud of Joel Embiid, the MVP, showing why I've stuck by him this entire time.
He was great in the series. I know you saw my text messages that I was sending my friend. I was kind of doing like a bit with the Sixers. I mean, I was rooting for them to win because I think they're the better team than Toronto. I was really looking forward to a Miami and Philadelphia showdown. But I called James Harden a 2-time MVP, and he's only won it once. apparently. I legit thought he was a 2-time MVP. I'm not even kidding. And so what I cut off from that text message, and my friend is like, well, which one are you awarding him? 2015, which was when he argued that he should have won it over Steph.
Yeah.
2017, which was the big Westbrook debate. And then I think 2019, which was the Giannis Harden debate. And yeah. I said 2017 because I think that was like the one where, and here's my actual text message, which will pop you SP3 because I argue for Jokic. And I said to him, he's like, which one are you arguing? 2017, 2016, or where's okay? And I said, can't believe that. I said 2017. Can't believe that they gave it to a 6 seed that year. Set a bad precedent, and it's why Jokic winning over Embiid this year. Disgusting.
He became SP3.
Yeah, I channeled my inner SP3, and I was just like, oh shit, like this is how I'm gonna argue for Embiid over Jokic. I mean, I think Westbrook should have won the MVP that year.
Me too.
But...
Me too. I do, even though I have argued all season that the Nuggets don't, and I still stand by this because your man only won one game. He made me look bad. I gave him 2 because he's supposed to be this MVP candidate, but he played his heart out in game 5.
You can't put that series on Jokic. Like he was great that series. That series was very much. I mean, you want to talk about the Westbrook comparisons. That series was very much 2016-17 Thunder, where Westbrook had to do everything. And then like when he sat, they lost those minutes. But against Houston, they lost that series in 5. Like the games were mostly close. There was like one blowout, and there was blowouts in the Warriors Nuggets series as well. But the games were like mostly close. It's just they lost the Westbrook minutes by a lot. And then it was, I think the Nuggets actually held on a little bit better than the Thunder bench, but the bench just wasn't good. Boogie Cousins, shout out to him, by the way. It sucks that he got injured because he was so great. Him and Davis were like such a great tandem in New Orleans, and something different, like a reminder of like the Robinson and Duncan, like Twin Towers in San Antonio. But it was very much that of like the games were competitive. The MVP did everything he could to win those games against a clearly superior team, and they just didn't have enough firepower elsewhere. But like Jokic was great. I love Draymond praising him while also taking shots at Kevin Durant as well, saying some guys are just soft in the playoffs. And look, he could say it ain't about Durant. Them little crying emojis during game 4, he could say that wasn't about Durant missing that free throw and them shots. We know what those was about, Draymond. Don't be silly, Draymond. Don't be silly. We know who it was about.
I was like, Draymond tried to play it off because he did KD. He was on the podcast with KD, and they talked about, their whole issues. But we know, Draymond, your timing is always impeccable. You got one of the best social media games. Don't try to play us and tell us that is not about KD. Oh, I'm a little more direct than that. Like, no, you're not. You're not slick. You're not trying to fool us. Get out of here with that nonsense. But yeah, I mean, I gave the Nuggets 2 games in this series. They got 1, but it's not on Jokic at all. But I will say once, I will say it again. We cannot give him the MVP. They give out the MVP usually in like the second round. You can't give it to a guy that's going fishing, that's in Cancun. You can't give it to him. No. I will not allow this. You will not take another MVP from Joel Embiid. He deserved it last year. He deserves it this year, especially after his performance in the first round. You have to realize he has 2 anchors on his ankles.
The first round doesn't matter in the MVP discussion, SP3.
It does. He has 2
doesn't matter.
No, because the first round showed he's been playing with 2 anchors on his ankle for half of the season. The reason why you said that Jokic was put ahead of Embiid is because Embiid's got Harden now. This is not the same James Harden, and he proved that. He proved that in the first round. This is not the same James Harden that the Nets got. This is not the same James Harden that played in Houston. I don't even think this is the same James Harden that played in OKC. He is overweight. He seems like he's overrated. He's not a top 15 player in this league anymore. So Embiid has been doing this and been playing his heart out with 2 anchors on his ankles. I got to give it to Doc Rivers though. He did have a good answer when people said that, oh, what about this choke artist moniker? And he was like, it's not the contents. It's, you got to look at the context of it all. He was like, the 3-1 lead we lost in Orlando, we were a 7 seed and we were not a good team, and no one talks about us even getting up by 3-1. They only want to talk about us blowing the 3-1 lead. He was like, in with the Clippers, Chris Paul was injured for the first 2 games and he was playing on one leg for the rest of the series and we lost there. And he was like, but the Clippers won the last one with the Clippers, that's on me. I loved when he said that. I was like, thank you. Don't give us no excuses. That one is on you. Don't give us any BS. He was like, that one's on me. He was like, I always will take the blame and say that I should have coached better. But he was like, a lot of people don't look at the context of it all when they look at me blowing these 3-1 leads.
I was rooting for chaos and for them to at least go to game 7. I really was. I did think like it was going to be a blowout. I was like, it's very tough to blow a 3-0 lead. Okay. Like It's very tough to blow a 3-0 lead. That's why it's never happened. But I know Sixers fans probably got a little bit worried after game 5 and it became 3-2 all of a sudden. I thought the Sixers were going to win a blowout last night. They did. They're the better team. Now they're going to play Miami. And Miami, gentleman sweep over Atlanta. I did not realize how bad Trae Young was in that series. And it's a lot of credit to the Miami defense. The team around him, that team's been kind of a mess all season. Clearly not the same team that made it to the conference finals last year. Injuries, the Capella injury hurt. Guys not stepping up. Like it all, none of it was good. I still thought Trae Young would, like, you're a star player in the league. Typically, these guys like find a way, have a great series. Just find a way. Even if like the underlying numbers aren't good, like the overall numbers are typically good for these super. Like you look at Kevin Durant, and I'm just gonna pull up Kevin Durant. Everyone kind of agrees he did not have a good series. It's not kind of like everyone agrees he did not have a very good series. Kevin Durant still averaged. Let's see here. He still averaged 26 points. 6.3 assists, 5.8 rebounds on 39% from the floor, 41% from 3. Like that's not bad. Those are still good numbers for a guy who did not have a very good series. So this Kyrie Irving, again, didn't have a good series. His overall numbers in the series against Boston was still 21 points. That's actually not great. 21 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 43% from the field, 31% from 3. You expect more from Kyrie, still got 21 points and everything. Like, not terrible. On a team with Kevin Durant. Do you know Trae Young's numbers in this series?
Oh, boy. Let's hear this.
They were awful. I was shocked by how awful they were. Trae Young against Miami averaged 15 points. 15 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. The shooting numbers, 29% from the field, 16% from 3, 64% from the free throw line. Like an awful series for Trae Young. If he doesn't hit that floater to win them game 1, like we're talking about just an all-time bad performance from a guy who is really good. Like I love Trae Young. I think he's like exceptional. But he had 2 games where he had single digits, another game where he had 11 points, and then he had a game with 24 and 25. But like Miami did a number on this man. Just like, again, you think Kevin Durant had a bad series, you think Kyrie Irving had a bad series, you look at their numbers like, that's not like terrible. It seems like they played okay. You look at Trae Young's numbers like, oh yeah, he had a bad series.
That is I was like, ooh, at those numbers, like 16% from 3. Oh my God. Like they awful. But this is the Miami Heat defense. I've said pretty much the whole season that they have the best defense in the NBA overall. I mean, the Celtics have kind of moved ahead of them because they have the defensive player of the year and their perimeter defenders are awesome. But you see Miami also, that's why this that's like the dream matchup. And a lot of people are sleeping on the fact that when this matchup happens, Boston is going to be the team that plays with the, if it happens, and Boston's going to be the team with the chip on their shoulders. If it's Bucks versus Heat, it's going to be the Heat with the chip on their shoulder because they lost in the playoffs last year. But people tend to forget that Boston, when they were supposed to beat a 5 seed in the bubble, lost to Miami in 6 games. And I think that still is in the back of their mind. And that's why they want to get through Milwaukee to verse Miami to get to the NBA finals, because they want to get that revenge on Miami. And those are that's the 2 best defensive teams out there. That would be a hell of a series. Bucks and Miami would be a hell of a series. But you talked about Giannis kind of being the difference maker, and this would elevate his legacy if he's able to beat this Boston team without Middleton, with the anchors on his ankles. If Embiid is able to beat the Miami Heat, I don't want any arguments. I don't even want you to ever argue with me that this man should, even if he loses, even if Jokic does win MVP, I might change the rules. If Phoenix loses 5 games ahead of the NBA Finals, I might switch it up to Jeremy doesn't have to do a PowerPoint presentation on the Lakers being good. He has to do a PowerPoint presentation on Joel Embiid is the real MVP of the regular season.
I thought about this. Like after we settled that we would do PowerPoint presentations on like our teams, and I'm like, do we really like have to say something nice about like the Lakers or the Thunder? Like, what do you say about the Thunder? They actively tried to tank. Like, they have a bright future, but there ain't like too much to say. The Lakers, I do have like a whole bit planned, and it would have been tremendous. I might still do it, but I did think that like the actual bet, and we can change this now if you want. The actual bet probably should be like saying nice things about the other's MVP candidate. I feel like that should be what the actual bet is.
I think that sounds more legit. Or it's a real bet would be both. You have to do both about the other person's favorite team and the other person's MVP.
I'm going to combine it because I fully admit it ain't looking good for me. The Suns, they lost 2 games in the first round. The Booker injury, I feel like I should get like a pass with the Booker injury, but you can't control these things. Sometimes these things happen in NBA.
And he came back early. They pulled the John Cena. They pulled the WWE injury where you say.
By the way, I don't want any Chris Paul slander from you after last night. That man was perfect, literally perfect last night. What do you have to say? Apologize to Chris Paul. You don't have to.
It only took you 37 minutes. I thought you were gonna say that from the top of the show.
I was saving it. That man was perfect last night.
Great game.
He's good.
He's great.
He's
great. He's one of the greatest point guards in NBA history. I would say when it comes to pure point guards, it might just be Magic Johnson ahead of him. I wouldn't put him like ahead of all time. I wouldn't put him ahead of the Steph Currys of the world, the Isaiah Thomas, but he's a better pure point guard than both of those guys.
Yeah.
And he proved that last night. That was just impeccable, perfect from the field, perfect from the free throw line. Chris Paul deserves all our credit. But it was the first round, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get your hopes up too soon. We know what the point guard, I'll call him a point guard. I'm not going to call him my nickname for him. We know what the point guard usually does as further he gets along in these playoffs.
He plays great until his teammates let him down or he gets injured. That's what he does in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Or he gets injured. You try to just slide that over.
He does. He gets injured, but last season he didn't get injured. Last season they lost.
No, he got hurt too. He got hurt in that playoffs too. He was out.
Yeah, but they made the finals last year. Like he wasn't hurt in the finals. He was healthy enough, and he did have the hand injury, but they still made the finals.
And Ace Shock is actually right. Kendall Jenner, shouts out to her.
Are they still together?
Yep, healing Prowers, man. Me and wifey, we watch Kardashians every week because I'm still amazed at how this show is on Disney Plus. How the hell did the Kardashians is on Disney Plus? That blows my mind every week. Wifey wants to watch the show, and I'm just like, I still can't believe I'm seeing Kim Kardashian with the Disney Plus symbol in the right top hand corner. I'm just amazed by it. And like, oh man, we can have a whole conversation about that because man, the first couple of episodes don't make Kim look too good when it comes to this whole Kanye situation because
Oh.
he did a lot for her. He got the sex tape back for her. He like did like a whole trip, worked a deal for her, and that was the same weekend she started getting with Pete Davidson. I was like, wow.
Did that show not end? I thought that show ended.
They did the whole 20 years, we're done on E. No. Hulu and Disney Plus have a deal, Caden. So yes, it's on Disney Plus. You can watch it on Disney Plus.
Hold on. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to my Disney Plus account and see this for myself.
It's
I don't know
on
if I believe
Disney
you or
Plus.
Caden.
It's on Disney Plus. Hulu and Disney Plus have a deal where some of their shows, because I watched Pam and Tommy on Disney Plus as well. So
I mean, I have Hulu and I have Disney Plus, but I don't have like the bundle. So I don't know if it. So I'm on like the legit Disney Plus website. So this is not Hulu. I searched for Kardashian. I can't find nothing. Keeping Up.
Or maybe it's because we have a VPN at home. Currently, I'm in the UK, so maybe it's that. I don't know, but certain places it's on. It is also on Disney Plus, ladies and gentlemen. Just letting you know. Not
it is not my Disney Plus.
Oh, maybe not the US Disney Plus. I have a
not
VPN.
My Disney Plus.
I have a VPN at home, and I'm in the UK, so maybe that's why I'm able to watch it on Disney Plus. But Disney Plus and Hulu have a deal where you can watch Pam and Tommy on Disney Plus, and you can watch Kardashians on Disney Plus.
I'm gonna circle back to Heat and Sixers because I don't think either of us actually made a pick. I like the Heat in 6. I think maybe even 7, but I think their defense is gonna be a little bit too much for Doc Rivers' basic ass offense. Like Embiid's probably gonna have like a great series. They can like Bam's a great defender, so they can at least throw him at him. James Harden's gonna be, I think he's gonna be in hell all series just with the guys that they're gonna throw at him. With Jimmy Butler. Somebody in the mention in the comments mentioned Tyler Hero. Seems like he might be set for a big series. Like the Hero for Harden rumors were very, very heavy last offseason or before they made the Nets trade. So I guess it was technically like 2 seasons ago. Like they were very heavy. Miami not seemingly, like they stood pat on that. Probably a good idea based on what Harden's kind of doing now and Hero's role on the team. I think Miami's a deeper team. I like their defense. I think Jimmy Butler is probably in for a pretty big series. I think that he's going to look at Philly. He's going to look at Harden, and he's going to kind of take that shit a little personal. I don't think I think he got along with Embiid. I think his issues seemed to maybe be more like Ben Simmons when it came to Philadelphia. But I do think he's going to look at that Philly team and be like, fuck y'all. Like I'm about to just run this shit on you. And then Harden, I don't know how he feels about Harden personally, but I could see him like just not liking James Harden. I could see a lot of people not liking James Harden.
I mean, you can kind of hear what Joel Embiid's been saying, where he's kind of like saying the same things that he was saying to Ben Simmons, to James Harden, midway through the Toronto Raptors series. But I'm going to go with Heat in 6. Once again, I'm going to give the MVP 2 games. I'm going to give an MVP candidate 2 games in this one, but I think that the Heat is the better team defensively, offensively as well, because, the Sixers are very dependent on Joel Embiid. It all goes to Joel Embiid. If they need a bucket, they will throw the ball down low to him and he'll get the job done. But outside of him, I can't rely on James Harden. I can't rely on Tobias Harris. Man, Tobias Harris, they got him, and they thought he was Jordan, going to be like a big 3 with him, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid, and that didn't come to fruition, not just because Ben Simmons, it's because Tobias Harris is very inconsistent. He is very inconsistent. You can't rely on him from game to game, so that's why I'm going to go with the Heat, because like you said, Jimmy Butler will have games where he's the best player on the court. He will have his 30 points, his 40-point games, and he'll shut down James Harden when he needs to. Like you said, Tyler Hero is just a pure shooter. You got Bam Adebayo, who played nice defense on and Joel Embiid. He won't be getting, I don't think he's going to be getting too many 33 and 10 type games. He might get his 20 and 10, but he's not going to be dominating down low the same way that he was to the Toronto Raptors, who had a bunch of defenders that they can throw at him, but they didn't have that one defender that can, go head to head with Joel Embiid down low. With Bam Adebayo, they do. So that's why I'm going with the Heat in 6.
Alex says Butler and Lowry are a little banged up. They are like they won game 5 without them. Obviously, the Sixers are a better team, but that bought them some rest. I don't think that series starts until like Sunday, so maybe even Monday. I don't know if the schedule's out. I'm looking it up right now. I mean, this thing still lists that Toronto and Philly are playing Game 7 tomorrow, so the schedule is clearly not fully out. But okay, here you go. So it starts May 2nd, which is Monday. So the series doesn't start until Monday, so they'll get a little bit of extra rest. I feel like they're probably okay because Butler was like a late decision, and Lowry maybe more precautionary. They were up 3-1 in the series. Like I feel like they felt okay about things. I don't think they're gonna miss too much significant time on that. Yeah, Bad Company Bill says coaching advantage. That's a big thing. Is Spoelstra is he's a lot better than Doc Rivers. A lot better.
Absolutely.
I have to run into the other room right fast and check something for the EP. So
Nice.
talk.
Yes, you 100% right, Bad Company Bill, that Spoelstra is just a better coach. He has more experience. He has the championship experience. He defensively, he knows how to kind of make those adjustments mid series. And Doc Rivers, like, he's just nervous. He's just I will never, and me, I'm biased. I am biased. I am the biased voice of FMC. Jeremy could be a little bit more non-biased than me. And I will never forgive Doc Rivers for stealing a championship away from Kobe Bean Bryant in 2008 with the Boston Celtics. I don't care if Bad Company Bill was happy about that. He stole a championship from my Los Angeles Lakers in 2008. I will never think Doc Rivers is good. He's got that is nothing compared to the amount of series that he has lost. So yeah, I definitely got to favor the Heat in that series. So it's looking like we're both saying it's going to be Heat versus Boston, which would be a banger of a series. I still got my heart that's ticking, that's saying that the Bucks are going to beat Boston, because I hate Boston that much that my heart will not go against, it will go against my head that tells me Boston's going to win because Middleton's out. But yeah, we only got one more series in the first round, though, which wasn't one of the series that we said would go 7. We said about 3 of the series would go 7. We were definitely wrong on Boston and Brooklyn. We were slightly wrong on Toronto and Philly. So we got Minnesota and Memphis tonight. Do you think that it's going 7?
Oh, I think first off, Alex saying to hear Stephen A. Smith's crack theory, hard and playing bad to try to get Doc fired and D'Antoni hired. I fucking love that theory. My friend texted me that, and I was like, I'm all in on this. I love Mike D'Antoni. I think he offensively he knows how to like build around the talent that he has. I love Mike D'Antoni, and I love this theory. I hope it's true. I don't know why it would be, but I love it. I love it's true. Yeah, he threatened Kyrie like he did. I remember the KD thing where he's like, "You do not want to make an enemy out of me." I was like, and this is when Durant was still on the Thunder, so I was like defending him. Looking back, I mean, fuck Kevin Durant, and I'm all in on Stephen A. Smith like threatening these guys.
I mean, Stephen A. Smith does not sound good, off of camera, because like I saw an interview, I think it was Ariel Alani with Michelle Beadle, and she kind of like was like, "Oh, I would never do a show with Stephen A. Smith. I know how he is off camera." And
I believe he's like an asshole and a pain in the ass to work with, but like on television,
he's
great TV.
He's great television, and I gotta hand it to him. Him and Mad Dog Russo, they might find something. He might be the choice to be the full-time, co-host on First Take, because Mad Dog Russo comes off like a overly Italian Skip Bayless, where you get that yelling energy that you used to get with Skip and Stephen A. You get that with Mad Dog Russo and Stephen A. So I hope that might be the full-time replacement for Max.
um, okay, Minnesota, and Memphis.
Memphis.
Am I crazy to think that like Minnesota's been a better team in this series? They're down 3-2, and I don't even like their chances. I kind of think they win tonight. But, like, I think they've been the better team. I haven't watched Memphis and been like, oh yeah, they're the 2 seed. They're very impressive. Minnesota, they've gotten leads, they've completely choked them away, and then they just don't execute down the stretch. But I really feel like Minnesota's just kind of been the better team. Memphis has just played better when it sort of mattered. And that's been the difference in the series. I still think Memphis wins the series. I do think Minnesota wins tonight, though. I think we at least get one game 7 out of the first round.
I agree with you because this easily could be could be the series over. It should be 4-1 with the leads that Minnesota have given up. Like, I'll give Memphis one game, but two of the games they had to make remarkable comebacks to get the win. I gotta hand it to Ja Morant. He played like an MVP candidate that I was trying to make him out to be a month ago. In Especially in game 5 and that game winner, that was great. He said what time it is. But the problem with Minnesota is they get very cocky. They're too cocky for their own good. You're a young team. You should just be playing hard, playing hungry, and they try to play like they're the odds-on favorite to win. And once they get a lead, they get very cocky. They think the game is over. You had Cat when they're up by 13 with like 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. He's telling the fans, shh, you don't do that. You see Steph Curry. Steph Curry was like, it's time to go to sleep when they're up by 5 with
Steph
30
Curry
seconds
is
to go.
shimmying in like the first quarter of stuff.
Well, to be fair, he's Steph Curry. Steph Curry has earned the right to do
fair.
that. Cat, you have not earned the right to do that. So I don't want to see any of that. I don't want to see any of that cockiness that comes from Minnesota. It started with when they versed us in the regular season, the Lakers with all of that nonsense, and it's been progressively worse as the play-in, what they did, how they celebrated against the Clippers, how they've been doing with these 2 games that they've blown in the first round. Like, I thought they would learn their lesson from the last time they blew a big lead, but no, they did it again in game 5. So hopefully they can play like they played in the first 3 quarters of game 5 tonight, and they can finish the job in the fourth quarter, because I do want to see a game 7 between these 2 teams, because like we said at the start of the series, this is a very evenly matched series that should give us a great game 7.
It's been my favorite series so far because of just the emotional swings. I thought that Minnesota was pretty much done after they blew game 3, and they came back and won game 4. Game 5 was incredible because it looked like Minnesota like should have won that one. But first off, Minnesota makes this great out of timeout play to get Anthony Edwards the corner 3, which was a great shot. And he knocked it down. But then he fucks it up on the other end by gambling for a steal against Ja. Like, just keep Ja Morant in front of you. All right? Like, Ja wasn't having a great shooting night. Just keep him in front of you, force him into like a tough shot. Don't gamble for this steal. And then credit to Ja, who saw that, like, oh, there's nobody in front of me. I'll just drive. Like, instead of like taking a layup or a floater or taking a mid range or a floater, he's like, I'll just drive. An incredible finish on that layup as well, with the defender, meeting him at the rim there. So I love the ending to that. This series has been so damn good, and I hope it goes 7. I would like to see a 7th game in Memphis, and then the winner gets to lose to 5 against the Warriors.
Exactly. Like, we all know what's gonna happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Suns versus Warriors in the in the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, I do agree. We're probably gonna get Warriors in like 5. If it's Memphis, I'll give Warriors in 6. I think Memphis plays
5 either way.
I think Memphis plays hard enough where the Warriors can have their big leads with their big third quarters, and they will still keep fighting and maybe make one comeback one comeback in the series that makes it maybe 6 games. But yeah, I think that is probably better if you bet for a 5 game series, regardless of who comes out of this first round series with Minnesota and Memphis. As far as Suns and Mavs, I'm going with Suns in 6 because I want game 1 of the conference finals to be a nail biter for Jeremy. I want it to be a nail biter where
You have to sweep the Warriors.
it's like he has to bet on the Suns sweeping the Warriors to keep his PowerPoint presentation bet alive. That's what I want.
I mean, the Suns and Mavs going 6. I could see that. I could easily see that. The Mavs were obviously good against Utah. I think that Utah team was broken anyway. Luka, look, Luka's a top 5 player in the world, maybe even top 3. He's weird in that he just wants to make things difficult on himself, and because the way they played in the 3 games without him, the ball was moving. They played with a lot of pace. Jalen Brunson was going off and everything. And Luka is very just Harden-esque, prime Harden, where he just he gets the switch. He didn't even hunt mismatches. He's just yeah, sure, Royce O'Neal is on me. Oh, sure, Rudy Gobert is on me. He doesn't even fully hunt mismatches, but it's just a lot of ISO Luka ball. And I don't think he's going to have as much success with that against a defense like the Suns, who can switch a little bit better. And when you're not hunting these mismatches like you probably should, I think it's gonna be a little tough for him. I still think it'll probably go 6 because Luka's really good, and I think he gets them at least 2 games. And the rest, Jalen Brunson really stepped up. Dorian Finney-Smith hit some
this
big
is
shots.
a different team than what the Suns have beaten in the regular season. They were 3-0 against the Mavs in the regular season, and Luka didn't play 2 of those games. I think they've won their last 8 games against the Mavs, but this is a totally different Mavs team, because the way you said, a lot of it is Luka ISO ball, and it still is, but a lot of their plays, especially the game 6 win, they move the ball around more because they have more confidence in Jalen Brunson, and Dinwiddie balled out in game 6. He hit some big shots for them. Dorian Finney Jr. hit some big shots for them. So this is a team that has more confidence. I think that Luka being out those first 3 games against Utah is going to benefit them more in this series than it even did in the first round series. So I'm liking them. I'm liking the Mavs to make this a little tough for the Suns. I'm saying Suns in 6, but I really wouldn't be surprised if it went 7 because Luka is that good. And this Mavs team with Brunson and Dinwiddie, they have improved that to the fact that their offense is a little bit more free flowing than it was when Luka was dominating the ball.
It is, but I've watched a lot of Dallas this season, and it's still a lot of Luka here. The ball moves when Utah would send doubles at Luka, and then he just had to pass it off, and then they would start swinging it. I don't know how often Phoenix is going to send doubles. I feel like they are more confident in their defense, in their one-on-one defense than Utah was. Even though Luka didn't really hunt switches and mismatches, or he hunted switches, but he didn't hunt mismatches. By the way, showed the Jazz blew so many rotations too for a team that is really good defensively. The Jazz defense just looked really out of sorts, and I don't think we're going to see that quite as much on Phoenix. I still think it goes 6, but I'm not super sold on this Mavs team outside of Luka just being great. I think the Jazz are just, that team's just a mess. And offensively, the Jazz were there last night. That Bogdanovich shot, you can't really ask for a better shot to potentially win the game than a wide open Bogdanovich three. Legit wide open. There was nobody within feet of this man after his pump fake. That was a great play call, a great inbound pass, great pump fake. They did everything right, but the shot just didn't go down. The Jazz were in, they did get blown out in game 5, which they probably should have done a little bit better in that game. And they shouldn't have fallen down 2-1 when Luka was out either. So the Jazz, that team's just kind of a mess. Phoenix ain't that much of a mess. So I could see this going 5. It'll probably go 6.
Yeah, I can see Luka just having one game in him, but I have confidence in Luka. I'm gonna give him 2 games. It's the MVP candidate 2 games. That's what I usually go by. I think that, and especially like I said, the team around him has improved. I feel like Brunson can have strong games, and their backcourt can match up very well, or match up at least the points that Chris Paul and an injured Devin Booker is going to give them. And because of Booker being injured and still trying to work his way up to being a little bit more healthy, I think that it's a safe bet to go 6 games here in this series. But definitely, I think the Suns are going to advance.
All right, any other NBA talk we need to hit?
I think that is all. I think we covered all our bases on the playoff teams. We only had maybe one comment or two about my Lakers, so I'm happy about that.
There's
I'm
nothing to
happy to
talk
end.
about with them. They
Exactly,
suck.
exactly, exactly. I'm good. I don't need to talk about LeBron's tweet. I don't need to talk about any of that.
Oh, what did LeBron tweet? Did I miss this?
Well, he said, "I will never miss a postseason ever
Oh,
again because this hurts too much."
I'm sure that won't backfire. Sure. They better make some trades and stuff if he doesn't want to miss another postseason, because that team ain't making the postseason next year if they return to the same team.
And there also was a report that the Laker front office is blaming LeBron and
I saw
AD
that. I
for
did see that.
trading for Westbrook. I do. I agree. I agree with the Laker front office, ladies and gentlemen. They are right. They are right. The only other Laker drama outside of that is Jerry West with a lawsuit against the Winning Time.
We
Uh,
gotta watch Winning Time and review it.
I have been watching. I watched
Okay.
the first 3 or 4 episodes, but I'll wait for you before I continue on, where we could do like a full legit review of it.
At some point, I will watch it. I have no idea when, but at some point I will.
John C. Riley is great as Jerry
Oh,
Buss.
he's fantastic in like
Awesome.
anything. So that's not shocking at all. People have talked about like the NFL draft. I know SP3 is not like the biggest NFL fan, but my team, the Panthers, did pick 6. The board broke exactly how it needed to. Like, they needed an offensive lineman, and there were 3 good offensive linemen. So you think 6 pick, you probably walk away with one of them. And then the first 4 picks were defensive players, the 2 edge rushers and the 2 cornerbacks. It's like, oh, okay, well, they're going to get one of these offensive linemen. And then it broke to where all 3 were there at 6, and they got Icky, who I don't know if it was a consensus that he was the top offensive lineman, but between the 3, it seemed like most experts, scouts liked him the most.
Yeah.
So look, they got the offensive lineman that they needed. I'm very happy about that. I don't know what they're doing with quarterback. I don't know if they try to trade. They don't have a second round pick, which would have been nice if they had that second round pick and didn't trade it for Sam fucking Darnold this season. But I don't know what they're going to do. They don't have a third round pick either. So I don't know what they're going to do today if they try to trade back in. Like, there's Malik Willis, who I like, and I think if they had their second round pick, would be a good pick to take in the second round. But I don't think they're going to give up like draft capital to try to get him, because you probably got to give up like a second next year and then maybe like a third or fourth on top of that. So I don't know if they're going to like do that. Like, you can't just keep burning these draft picks for the future, especially if they're probably not going to be good again next season. I assume they're going to trade like a 5th or 6th for Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield, and they're just going to roll with they're going to roll with Darnold, Baker / Garoppolo, try to do what they can this season, probably suck again, and then find like a franchise quarterback next draft would be my guess. But we got the offensive lineman. They did not screw up that pick. So I'm fine with the draft. And now we'll see what happens. Probably nothing tonight with them. And then we'll see what happens on Saturday. You have any NFL draft pick thoughts, SP3?
I was happy that the Jacksonville Jaguars got a defensive player with the first round pick. Improved that defense. I can't wait for people to clown Tony Khan for Jacksonville not being a good team once again next season. But yeah, I mean, it pretty much went as I expected. I don't have any team in this race, so I wasn't looking at any particular picks. But I mean, I'm happy for what seems to be by my Jets fans friends like Romeo and Chris G over on True Hill. They seem very happy. They're all changing their name to Sauce something, Sauce
Sauce
Cologne.
Gardner. Sauce Gardner, yeah.
Sauce Cologne, Sauce. It seems like all the Jets fans are very happy, so I'm happy for them because I don't have any team in the race. I love watching football just for the love of the game, for following these teams. I love how the NFL Twitter was getting on the Green Bay Packers, like a lot of people seem to be talking about in the live chat, because Green Bay, they've just been making bad choices for the past 10 years, in my opinion. But
I know our pal Jarrett Bailey was very upset that his Pittsburgh Steelers picked Kenny Pickett with the 20th pick. I remember when I was hanging out with Jarrett at Dynamite last week, I was like, "Oh, what are your thoughts on the draft and the Panthers and stuff?" Because I think he was actually like kind of covering the Panthers for Fansided, and he's like, "Oh yeah, they'll probably pick like Kenny Pickett with 6." I was like, "Dude, if they pick Kenny, like I didn't think he should have gone as high as 6." And I was like, "Man, if they pick Kenny Pickett, I was so mad." He's like, "Yeah, they'll fuck that up." Like, he's like, "I don't like Kenny Pickett. I don't think he's very good." And so when I saw that Pittsburgh drafted him, I was like, "Oh, Jared, that poor guy having to deal with Kenny Pickett." I hope Kenny Pickett turns out to be halfway decent just for Jared's sake, but I don't know about that. Don't know about that.
Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have a couple of Pittsburgh Steeler friends as well, but yeah, I hope they lose. I'm sorry.
I see Caden in the chat. So Caden wanted to do like a NHL show. And I'm trying to do different things with Overbooked. I don't want to have too many like non-wrestling stuff on here. And so if we do a hockey podcast, it's going to fuck up our algorithm and all this different stuff. But Caden, you're in the chat. If you would like to, I'll send you the StreamYard link and we will bore SB3 with some hockey talk. If you would like to pop on, we're going to turn SB3 into a hockey fan throughout the playoffs.
I legit have not been a hockey fan since Jerome Iggy. Since Iggy. Yeah,
Iginla, yes.
And Jerome Iginla. I have not been a hockey fan since him. Like that was the last player that I really got into. Of course, my namesake, Sidney Crosby, when he was doing his thing. And
he's still doing his thing.
I know he's still doing his thing. He's still one of the best players because Sidney's, that's what we do. That's what we do out here in these streets. So I haven't really been into it, but I'm always open to learning more about, NHL, NFL. I really haven't been, like, my love for the NFL decreased when Peyton Manning retired from the game and I didn't have a horse in the race anymore. So I didn't follow it as much. I follow it for fantasy football. Of course, I was going to suggest we should do like an Overbooked or Fightful, fantasy league for the NFL season. So I'm all for that. And I will get more into it so we can have more conversations on FMC, because FMC is the home of all sports and all talk outside of wrestling.
All right, Caden, I'm sending you the StreamYard link right now. So if you want to pop in, we can talk some hockey. You've got to get into it. SV3 hockey is so great when you if you go to a live game, I think you'll really love it. Watching on TV, the TV experience has gotten better. It's on TNT now. It bumped AEW off of TNT, essentially. True. There's Caden. Caden, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Good, man. Hey. I'm glad you could join us for a little bit of hockey talk. The season ends technically today, and then the playoffs. I don't understand why they're starting the playoffs on a Monday. Like, start on the weekend, like a normal professional sports league. But
yeah, they're not a normal professional sports league.
They're not.
I think they wanted to start it over the weekend, but what happened is the season actually technically ends Sunday because they had to reschedule a Seattle Kraken game.
Fucking Seattle. Just cancel the game. They don't need to play 82. Who cares?
It's two teams who aren't in the playoffs. I think it's Winnipeg and Seattle.
There you go. Yeah, they shouldn't do it. That's a shame. They should start over the weekend because I don't think there's like any basketball tomorrow either. So like we have potential playoff hockey, playoff basketball, and then on a Saturday, just like, hey, watch rounds 4 through 7 of the NFL draft. Stupid. All right, Caden, the matchups aren't completely set. Like, there's still some stuff to be decided. tonight. But overall thoughts on the playoffs and who you have as kind of your favorite right now.
The overall, like this season, it's a very top heavy league. You're seeing such a big drop off in the East, especially. I think it's a 20-point difference between the teams who made the playoffs and the teams who didn't. At the bottom, like number 8 and number 9, I think is a 20-point difference. The West is a little closer because it's a little bit weaker, but you look at the teams in the East and how strong they are. Starting with Florida, they got the President's Trophy last night. They clinched that. They look fantastic. 122 points on the season. They've got a plus 102 goal differential. That is like the Florida Panthers, which is my favorite team going into the playoffs right now. They are completely stacked on the offense. I think it's the deepest offensive roster I've ever seen, especially in a salary cap era with what they've done with their trades and their signings in free agency. There's question marks on the defense. I think they're going to be okay if they can get Aaron Ekblad back on the right side. If not, that's a big weakness. They're not going to have their top right D. And then the biggest question mark for them is in goal with Sergei Bobrovsky. He's making $10.5 million. He's their highest paid player. So he needs to play like that, but he hasn't, and he doesn't have that playoff success. So the question is, can he be that goalie that they need him to be?
I love the East because I think all of these teams have a legit shot. Like we're going to get a first round matchup between, I think, Toronto and Tampa Bay right now, which absolutely rules. And then I could see anybody coming out of the East legitimately. I could see anybody coming out of the Eastern Conference. I'm actually leaning towards just Tampa Bay making it again. I'm not doubting. They're the 2-time defending champions. I'm not doubting them at all. But it's a bloodbath in the East from top to bottom.
I think there's some weaknesses in the East with the Metropolitan Conference. Like I don't see it yet with Carolina, New York, Pittsburgh, and Washington. There's something there I don't see. But I like whoever comes out of the Atlantic, whether that's Florida, Toronto, Tampa, or Boston, that's the team I have going to the final for the East.
All right, let's go to the West where my Avs are there. They've sucked the last 10 games. I'll be happy if they win one playoff game at this point. That's how bad they've been playing. I'm ready to just completely write them off, and they're actually no good. And I think Minnesota comes out of the West.
I'm going to go with Calgary coming out of the West. I think they're very much built for the playoffs. They have really solid depth. I do think there's some question marks on the defensive side. That was somewhere they wanted to improve at the deadline, but they didn't really get there. But in net, they've been really solid all year. The way they play, that physical style, is very much playoff hockey. And I like Minnesota, but Marc-Andre Fleury, the last, I think, 9 games has had a sub 900 save percentage, which is really just not good.
Playoffs, he turns it on. That's what everybody kept telling me. The playoff experience.
He 100% can. And Minnesota and Calgary is who I have going into the Western Conference Finals. But I do think Calgary just has that overall better depth and can really just get there. I just don't see it yet with Minnesota.
Everyone, please bet against the Avalanche. They're horrible. They're going to win, again, maybe one game in the entire playoffs. They're going to lose in the first round to Nashville or Dallas. That is my official prediction. Doesn't matter who we play. They're just going to lose. They've been a fraud team all season against a weak Western Conference, and first round exit. Everybody's going to get fired. Everybody's going to get traded. That's how I see it going for my Avs.
I think if Colorado plays Nashville, they have a really good chance of winning because of Nashville's goaltender UC Saros going down, and we
lost to Nashville last night. They just beat us last night.
They did.
They did, but it's a horrible team.
I don't think they're playing all their starters right now. You already have number 1 in the West. You don't need to play your starters. You can take some of your guys out.
Starters. Last night we fielded a decent roster. I think tonight they're playing just a bunch of AHL guys. Yeah. But last night, they've been playing some starters. They've been rotating guys in and out. It's just a bad team. They're frauds. They got hot in the regular season. They peaked too early. just a terrible hockey team. They're going to win one game. They're going to be out. I'm going to cry a lot. EP's going to have to just console me every single night as I just
I do actually think Dallas will. If Dallas plays Colorado, I think I'm going to end up being at one of those games in Dallas.
Joe Pavelski, well, I hope you have fun. Joe Pavelski is going to score a hat trick every single game because he kills Colorado, absolutely kills them. We lost to Dallas 2 years ago in the bubble in Game 7. SP3, 2 years ago. Here's what happened 2 years ago. COVID era 2 years ago. Thunder, Rockets, Game 7, Wednesday night. You know what happened there?
Yes.
Fucking Rockets won. Broke my heart. Close game. Just terrible, terrible Wednesday. Friday night. Avs come back from down 3-1 in the series. Force a Game 7 against Dallas. This is Friday night. I'm still getting over the Wednesday night heartbreak of fucking Thunder losing to the Rockets. So Friday night, the Avs play Game 7 against Dallas after coming back down 3-1. Goes to overtime. Hockey overtime. This is where you gotta get into a playoff game, SP3. Because if you just watch like NHL overtime and have no rooting interest, like you don't have a team in there, like it's somebody always, there's a famous tweet that like always gets retweeted is like, oh, I could just do a bunch of cocaine and jump out of a plane, but instead like NHL overtime is on, so I'll watch that instead. Like it's a tremendous high when you don't have a team. Like it's really fun. When you have a team that's going to overtime in the playoffs, it's the most stressful shit ever. Like you are ready to tear your hair out. So watch an overtime game without a rooting interest and just you'll be on the edge of your seat. When you have a team, it's the worst feeling ever. So Game 7 goes to overtime, and this game, SP3, I'm having flashbacks of it all. The Avs scored with like 3 minutes to go in the game to take like a 3-2 or a 4-3 lead or some shit. 3 minutes to go in this game. And I'm yelling. This is when I was living with my parents after my first divorce, my last divorce. And I'm screaming. My dad's like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, we just scored 3 minutes to go. Like we fucking got this. And then Dallas scores like 30 seconds later to tie it. I'm highly upset. Goes to overtime. And then some guy on Dallas, I don't remember his name.
I know exactly. Yoel Kiviranta.
Fuck him. You don't need to say his name, Caden. Fuck him.
He purposely wasn't mentioning it.
I know. I legit couldn't remember his name.
With the hat trick. He got the hat trick.
Yes, exactly. He gets a hat trick in overtime to beat, and I am just devastated. Absolutely devastated. Keep in mind, SP3, this happens at like 7 o'clock at night because it's like an earlier game because it was in the bubble. Back when sports were played at like 2 in the afternoon, which fucking ruled. We need to bring that back.
Seriously.
But it's in the bubble stuff. So it's like 7 o'clock. Dallas scores this game winner. I'm still doing SmackDown post show for Fightful at this point. I take an hour and a half walk. I just walk around my neighborhood for an hour and a half. I call my friend Sammer. I'm just bitching to him the whole time, like just letting it all out. Wednesday night, the Thunder lose this Game 7 against Houston. Look, I knew the Thunder weren't good that season. That was a CP3 season. We were going to get beat by the Lakers. That was fine. Like, that was like a championship game to me. Just beat the Rockets. Beat the Westbrook Harden Rockets. Blow that team up completely. They ended up blowing up anyway. But like to be the reason to blow them up. Like, yes, thank you. But like to be the reason to blow them up, like I was so excited. We lose that game, and then the Avs lose in overtime, Game 7, 2 days later. I took a walk around the neighborhood for an hour and a half. I missed the first 30 minutes of SmackDown. If you go back and watch that post show, like I turn it up. Whatever I said about the first 30 minutes of that SmackDown was complete bullshit because I didn't actually watch it. I was devastated that Friday. So, yeah, the Avs lost game 7 3 years ago, second round. Game 7 2 years ago, second round. Game 6, second round last year. They're going to lose Game 5 first round this year and get eliminated. I don't care if it's Dallas or Nashville. They lost to Nashville 4 years ago in the first round. At some point, maybe they'll win a playoff series in the second round. But I'm going to be a fucking wreck beginning on Monday or Tuesday whenever these playoffs start. That's me through. You got to, if you don't get a team, just watch some of the games, We'll talk a little bit of hockey playoffs.
Well, I looked at the brackets, and my namesake Sydney is versing the Rangers, and as I've established
That's a good series.
established at the beginning, I don't root for any New York team, so I'll root for the Penguins.
All right, we've got SB3 in on the Penguins here. Yes. What if they go to an overtime, which they probably will? Those will probably be some pretty close games. You will be on the edge of your seat for those games because overtime in hockey is a fucking it's a rush. It's a rush. Caden, who is your actual pick to win the cup?
I'm gonna go with the Flames.
Okay.
Canada
actually winning the cup.
Yeah, Canada going to the Stanley Cup final for the second year in a row. Last year, my Canadians went there, which was an amazing summer for me. I love it. But I got Calgary going. I think Florida meets them, but Florida, I don't 100% see it on the defensive end, and I just don't think they can handle the toughness that is Calgary.
I think Minnesota beats Tampa in the finals. That's what I'm going with. Rob Wilkins is going to love me. I may or may not be doing a bit to reverse jinx the Minnesota Wild. I'm definitely not doing that. 100% not doing that at all. Minnesota wins the Stanley Cup. All right, everybody? Minnesota Wild. You heard it here. Minnesota. Kaden, do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, I have a wrestling podcast. It's called 10 Count Wrestling. Just search it up on YouTube.
There you go. Everyone can follow Kaden. I want to make sure I get your Twitter right. It's Caden_FTW. So everyone follow Caden on Twitter as well. We'll pop you back in throughout the playoffs. You'll be our NHL correspondent for FMC during the playoffs.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thanks, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if you go to a Stars Avs game, make sure you bring a hat for Joel Pavelski. Still have a hat.
I will.
All
right. Thanks, guys.
All right, SB3. We're gonna get you into the hockey playoffs. We're 100% to it.
I like having these correspondents. We need like an NFL correspondent.
Kate wants to, Jarrett would be our NFL correspondent. Kate wants to do like Temptation Island reviews. You got to watch the Temptation Island. She wants to do that. Like everyone, there's behind the scenes of Overbooked. Everyone wants a show on Overbooked because they just think like we just have unlimited space, and it's like sure. And like at first, like I was just kind of passing out shows to all my friends, and that was probably a mistake because now it's like, well, we kind of overbooked it, and now I got to like pull back stuff. But FMC, we're just gonna turn into like it already is non-wrestling. It's just gonna be like a variety hour. We can have just like different correspondents like popping in and just talking about various non-wrestling stuff. So at some point, Kate will be on to talk Temptation Island. You mentioned it, challenge draft. We're gonna get Share Delaware.
We got to do it. We got to do it either next week or the week after because no. We got to do it next week because it starts on May 11th.
Yeah,
May 11th. So we got to do the challenge. So we got to get Hannah. Hannah is our challenge correspondent. We got to get Hannah in here because Mark Long is on it. Our boy that we seem to all love, Wes. I feel it in my soul. Wes is gonna win. That's all I got from the trailer. The trailer for All Stars 3 is that Wes. It was heavy on the Wes content, and that's what I need in my life. Wes is my favorite challenge player of all time. I need him to win All Stars 3.
I hope he wins All Stars 3. I don't know if he will. All Stars is a weird show because like I thought Derek was gonna just like kind of dominate that because he still did really well on the main show, and he like hasn't done well on All Stars.
No, he made it to the finals in All Stars 1, but he had Gisela and they got lost on the kayak. And then All Stars 2, he just came in too cocky and too loud and made enemies of, Nehemiah was still holding a grudge from All Stars 1, and then he made an enemy of Steven, so they all like planned against him and got him out there early. So yeah, I mean, I'm going for Wes on the female side. I'm so happy that Naya is back. I feel like she got the shit end of the stick on everything. Yeah, she got kicked off of Battle of the X's too, and then she got like a permanent ban, which I thought was a little extreme for what she did. Like she touched Jordan in this private area, and that's why she got kicked off of Battle of the X's too. I didn't think that was enough to give her the permanent ban. So I'm going with Naya on the female side. But this male side of All Stars 3, this is like the most stacked male cast they've ever had. You got Wes, 2-time champion. You got Jordan, 3-time champion. Arguably, some people call him the greatest challenge player of all time. I'm not one of those people. But
he's really good.
He's really good. You got Derek, 3-time champion. You got Darrell, 4-time champion. Mark Long, 2-time champion. Like, and that's like some of the best player. But you got Yes, who won All Stars 1. You got Brad, who's a 2-time champion. Like, this is like the most stacked male cast they've ever had.
It is an absolutely stacked cast. It's gonna be something. It's going to be something with the All-Stars. I love the All-Star season. I'm glad they ended up doing it on the recommendation of Mark, because Mark, I know, like really pushed for that. Yeah, it is. This lineup's tough, man. This is a very tough lineup.
It's so like I wouldn't blame you. Like I'm going off of my heart, and like I said, Wes is my favorite. Well, it's between Wes and CT. Wes and CT are my 2 favorite challenge players of all time. So if CT was on this season, of course I would go for CT, and of course I'm gonna go for CT whenever he's on the regular season. But Wes is coming back. Wes has not been all there on the regular season. I think the last time he really had a good shot was Total Madness. If he wasn't so adamant to go against Johnny Bananas in that elimination, I think he would have made the finals, and I think he would have beat Johnny in the finals. But I think he was so adamant to go in that elimination, and that backfired on him. But Wes, I think that he has the numbers with Melinda on this cast, with Nehemiah. You know, Nehemiah is going to be working with LT, so you got LT on his side as well. So I think he has enough numbers. He doesn't have too many enemies. He's got the Darrells of the world and the Jordans of the world that are going to be his enemies regardless, because they just have long rivalries. But I think he has enough of the numbers that he can make it to the end. And I think that he looks in incredible shape as well. So I think that he has the best chance to win All-Stars 3.
I'm shocked they brought back Tina after last All-Stars.
Dude, Tina gotta make it up, because she's great television, but
she
totally disappointed me in that elimination with Melinda. Just giving up.
Yeah, like I hope TJ is like, oh, you're back to quit again. What are we doing here?
You know TJ gonna talk that trash. Like I can't wait for TJ to just talk his trash to Tina. Yeah, TJ's the best. TJ's one of the all-time greatest like hosts of any reality show is TJ Lavin. Shouts out to him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A-Shock, CM Punk, I believe did what was it?
He did pros versus
champs versus pros.
Yeah, champs versus pros. Yeah. What he lost on? He lost to Gus in the ice bath, is what it says. On the elimination history.
Yeah. That's Gus beat him. I was disappointed. I wanted Punk to make it far there. He did pretty well in stuff. I think he beat Sean Merriman.
Yeah,
Merriman in an elimination. I think that was the same elimination that Wes beat Bananas the first time when they went head to head in elimination.
Remember on pros versus or champs versus pros when CT yelled at Terrell Owens?
Dude, that is the greatest champs versus pros moment in history. Is when CT talks trash about TO going bankrupt and saying the only reason you're here is for that check. Get out of here. Like, yo. And then TO he felt so disrespected. He left the show. Like, you made CT look like you elevated CT's legacy because
really
by using his words, he eliminated TO.
It is insane that like Terrell Owens, NFL like Hall of Famer, he's in the Hall of Fame, right?
If
he's not, he certainly should be. Leo Rush was on Champs versus Pros like originally, and then did like an actual
he
season,
did
right?
double agents, but like
Yeah.
they talked about like his he grew up in like a group home, and like that was given staying in that house with like strangers and stuff was giving him like PTSD, and he had to
Yeah.
leave. So
Yeah. I know Deanna Perrazzo has said she's wanted to do like the challenge if they could find a way to get her on there.
I wish you would have told me this. I actually interviewed Deanna yesterday. So
No, I would
yeah.
have. Oh, fuck.
You should have told me this. But I did ask her a great question. I was gonna actually tell you after that I might like edit that out of our interview on True Hill Heat and just play it on here because I asked her because I saw an interview where she said one of her dreams is to meet Snooki. So I asked her to cast a pro wrestling Jersey Shore. So I was like, I
Oh,
think that would be a nice little. We could have a little clip for our trash reality
you can do
segment,
that.
and we could play what Deanna's answer was.
Yes, Deanna said it. I've mentioned this on Twitter. It's been a long time ago. Every time like Sean interviews, I like, can you ask her about like doing the challenge and stuff? So Miz was made on the challenges, real
Yeah,
world and challenge. He was like an all time
I
challenge like goat.
think it's still up on Netflix. If it's not, it may be on Paramount Plus. But you could check out Inferno 2, which is one
Yeah,
of Miz's best seasons that he's ever done. But yeah, Miz is like and a challenge beast. Him and Coro, they won their first season on the challenge. Of course, he was really made on Real
real
World
world. Yeah.
season 10, which is that's up on YouTube. If you haven't watched it or you haven't watched it in a long time, go back and watch that season because that's one of the best Real World seasons in my opinion. To see how Miz progressed just from there to from the beginning of that season to where he is now, you would be shocked just rewatching that whole season of the Real World. But yeah, he was really made on the challenge because he like even the Miz character starts out on season 10 of the Real World, but then he takes it to the next level on the challenge.
I mean, that's where he became the Miz. Essentially, he said it a
Yeah.
bunch of times, and he's hosted like reunion shows and everything as well. I'm kind of shocked. I assume like his schedule probably wouldn't allow for it because reunion show is just like one day. Like I feel like if he wanted to, he could host like an entire season because he hosted Champs vs Pros. Like he hosted those seasons. Yeah, I know they want like kind of him involved. I don't think he'll ever go back and like do it. I think like his legacy and the challenge is just so secure that he's like, I'm not even gonna like risk it and like do it again. I really think that's part of the reason why he won't do it again because his legacy is so secure and he doesn't want to fuck that up. And I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Honestly, who like Landon? I think Landon's kind of like in that same boat where he just won't do it because his legacy is just so secure with everything.
I hope Landon does like maybe an All Stars because it's a
Yeah,
shorter run time. But Landon was one of my favorites. Like he was also on that Inferno 2 team with the Miz. So yeah, Landon is one of my all time favorites. I was glad to see Alton was back on like All Stars 1.
yeah,
But he wasn't the same Alton that he was,
no.
all those years ago. Like Alton was in his prime, was one of the best challenge players out there.
Yes. All right. Anything else from All Stars? I know like there's no Degrassi dudes today, so we don't have like an actual time.
Yeah.
I do have interviews and whatnot to listen to. I gotta piss off more people with headlines and stories.
Great. You're always the best. The best headlines out there. The Becky Lynch one got a lot of retweets and a lot of traffic than yesterday with the Ember Moon interview. Well done. Well
Here, so I know we're not supposed to talk wrestling. We're talking kind of work in this aspect.
done.
People, I'll post if you ever see me post like this is scoops, FMC scoops for work in real life and everything. If you ever see me post like a GIF of a wrestler, I'm probably writing an article that's going to like piss off people. Like I posted a Becky GIF, and then like 10 minutes later, the article went up. I posted the Ember GIF yesterday, and like
Yep.
10 minutes later, the article went. Like if you ever see me post a GIF of a wrestler, chances are I'm about to drop a transcription article that is going to get some attention. So if you're ever wondering why I do that, That's the reason. Because people ask me, like somebody replied to the Ember GIF just with like a question mark, and people have done that when I've done like the Seth GIF where he talked about. I posted a Seth GIF right before I dropped it's tacky to talk about AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people will be like, question mark, like what does this mean? That's what those GIFs mean. So if you ever see that, that's a little Easter egg for people who get it. And now nobody asked me. I'm never going to explain this on Twitter, but I'll explain it here. You got to watch FMC for the real scoops.
Scoops is out here in full effect. The other thing with reality television I should mention is I finished Too Hot to Handle season 3. I finished all 3 seasons, and I told Jeremy before we went live, I'll tell it to all of y'all, I was very thankful Jeremy didn't spoil season 3 for me, because them losing all the money, $200,000. They had double the amount of the first 2 seasons, and they lost every single dime. And the fact I was disappointed in Lana for giving Nathan a second chance, because I was like, nah, Nathan and Holly, they both need to get out of here, because they didn't care. Like that whole thing when Lana does like, oh, having service breakdown. I was like, how do they not know that this is a test? Like, I was like, this can't be real. These people cannot be really this dumb. Please tell me these people are not this dumb, and they were this dumb. Like, they broke so many rules. I think they had about maybe 69 or 70,000 left at that point, and they blew it all. Blew every single dime, because Lana tested them for 12 hours. All they had to do was not have sex, not kiss for 12 hours, and they couldn't do it.
That show is great. I can't wait for season 4. Yeah, I didn't want to spoil that they lost all the money, Mario, because I remember watching that, and they started at 200, and they lost every single penny of that.
They didn't go a day without breaking.
No, they were breaking rules every single day, and I don't think like Lana's very forgiving. I was like, fuck y'all completely failed this shit. Like, I would just kick them all off and be like, you know what? All of y'all are hopeless. Get out of here. You're all done. You just reevaluate your entire life. Get off of this show. You walk away with nothing but a free trip, I guess. You got to watch the Ultimatum SP3. I'm telling you, you got to watch it. We're watching X on the Beach season 3, because I've never seen season 3. I've seen the first 2. I'd seen the first 2 like when they aired live, and then we watched the first 2 like a year ago, and then we just kind of stopped because there was other trash to watch, and we picked it back up. So people who you would know from the Aubrey O'Day is on this show. I think everyone knows Aubrey O'Day.
Yes.
From Danity Kane and Pauly D, and she's a bunch of reality stars. So from like Challenge World, Devin is on the show. Marie is on the show. There's a lot of people from Are You the One? I don't know if you ever watched that show. That's great. Like,
no, we haven't. I think that was one of the shows that that my wife was like, oh, maybe we'll watch this.
That's good. You should go Are You the One? Ultimatum's got to be top of your list right now. But Are You the One's really good. So a lot of Are You the One people. Michi from Sleeping with Black China, I guess is his big claim to fame. Like, he's on this show.
Wasn't he on? He was on Double Agents, wasn't he?
Was he? Oh shit!
He was the one that he was the one that Josh only elimination win. I think was against Michi.
Oh,
wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. Yes, yeah, you're right. I completely forgot he was on the challenge. Completely forgot. So yeah, he's on the show as well. Yeah, there's X on the Beach is good, like trash shit. I know season 4, Laurel is on season 4. I'm looking at the rest of
is she on there with what's her name? What's her name?
Nicole. Yeah, Nicole, she's on there with Nicole. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Nicole is
Jimmy's
great
on there.
Trash TV material.
Oh, she's great trash TV. Jimmy's on season 4 as well. So there's they pull some challenge people on the X on the Beach. So that's another show if you would like to check out. It's worthwhile trash television.
That's that. I might have to get into that just because the challenge connection. I love me some challenge, and Jemmy might be at the bottom of my list when it comes to All Star 3. Like I was like, yo, Jemmy only made it far in All Stars 1 is because she did the whole bit with Beth being her mom and Mark being her dad, and she was hooking up with Nehemiah. I was like, she was just a smart social player, but she doesn't do anything for me as far as the physical aspect of
No,
the
she's awful. She's absolutely awful. Like, her social game is like fine, and she's great like trash television, like reality TV. But like as far as a competitor, she's terrible, and everyone knows it. So they're just like, hey, we'll keep her around, so just have an easy win.
Have a layup. Out
exactly. A Shock says Denise and Jeremy Taylor Swift hour live stream. Denise and I think are going to do a Taylor Swift podcast on her like entertainment channel. We've talked about that, and like we've got it set up. It's just we've actually like got to record it and everything. We have the idea hashed out. It's just we've both been very busy, and so we just haven't actually recorded our first episode. But that's actually going to happen. Denise and I are going to do a Taylor Swift podcast. She's about to get married. Like, she's planning a wedding and stuff. And that was Mania week and everything. Like a lot going on in the world of Denise.
Yeah. Both have weddings to plan now. So look at this. Everybody.
Our wedding planning. I ain't doing none of that. EP's doing all of that shit. Like she knows the town. She knows all the people. She's got connections with everybody. Like we joke, like you can't go anywhere if there are more than 5 people like in a room or in like a building, whatever. She will know somebody that is in that room if there are more than 5 people. And if there are more than like 20 people, like somebody will be related to her in that room. Like she knows everybody in this town. So she's calling a bunch of people, be like, hey, can you do this for our wedding? Can you do that? And everybody's like, yeah, sure. Whatever you need. So she's handling a good chunk of that stuff. I'm just like, where do you need me to be? And what, I'm dealing with trying to get the celebrities involved. That's basically
there you go.
Getting all the wrestlers.
There you go. The priorities. You're well suited in that. I don't know if we have any time for a quick Entourage review, or if you caught up with Entourage.
Oh, we are like behind because we started season 2, and they, it's the Aquaman dilemma, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where they're at. I got to pull up like the wiki, but I watched this like 2 weeks ago, and then the NBA playoffs started, so we just spent all our time previewing that, and then last week we spent all our time talking about that. So yeah, I'm caught up on where we need to be. It's just we haven't watched it, but we can certainly do that. Hold on, let me pull up and try to remember what the hell happened.
What were we up to? Were we up to 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 or 5 and 6?
3 and 4. We did 3 and 4. Yeah, because Aqua Mansion. So yeah, they go to the Playboy Mansion. That was the last part.
One of my favorite episodes for the drama storyline of drama trying to get into the Playboy Mansion, and the whole story about him freeing the chimps and him trying to get to the bottom of it, going to the Karate Kid's house, Ralph Macchiato.
So it's great that like this episode is aired in 2005, and what rules about it is like Ralph Macchio was like just out in 2005, like didn't care care, but like he just wasn't a big deal. It was like, cool, like remember Ralph Macchio from the Karate Kid? Like here he is, like cameo in this. And now you watch this in 2022, it's like fucking Karate Kid is back. Like he's a big star again.
Cobra Kai is one of my favorite series as well.
Oh, it's so good.
I love me some Cobra. We could do that as well. Talk about that on this show because I love me some Cobra Kai. Can't wait for season 5. I want to see Terry Silver get taken down because he's a son of a bitch for what he did to John Kreese. But I loved him going to Karate Kid's house and and then he's like, oh well, give me your invite. Just call them. You're a family man. You don't need to go. He's like, I'm going tonight. It was like, he was like, I ought to kick your ass. And then Ralph was like, why don't you try? And then you also had the little side storyline with Turtle with the expensive hoodie, oh no, the PJs, the pajamas. And then as soon as he gets to the Playboy mansion, he's like too distracted with the females, and he's got the girl with the body art on his PJs. So now he has to keep those. He can't send them back. And then they sneak drama in, and then at the end, of course, the discovery is that it's Pauly Shore. And then
Sure.
and then this starts, it's so great that this is like the genesis of like a rivalry that comes back up various different times in Entourage with Pauly Shore and Johnny Drama. Just great stuff. I love that whole side storyline because it's not really the focal point. The focal point of the episode is really them trying to convince Vinny to do Aquaman, and then
Yeah.
it's until the end when they're all around with all the girls where Ari tells them the numbers. He was like, you get what, 3 million for the first one, 6 million for the second. If there's a third film, you're getting 10 million. He's like, you can buy the house because they're also trying to buy a new house at the same time. So yeah, that's a great episode.
I don't remember since they're kind of blending together, but when they talk about this when he takes the Queens Boulevard role, and it's like one for you, one for me, and Queens Boulevard was for him, and now it's like, okay, you got to do like a big kind of like studio film here and everything, like, and he's like, these top actors like didn't do this, and they're talking about, oh, well, Tom Cruise did this, Tom Hanks had to do this, and then like they could do all that stuff, but like once you establish yourself as just like a big movie star blockbuster, like then you're fine, do all the shitty indie films that you want to do. But yeah, they're trying to convince him to do Aquaman, and he finally kind of realizes that, okay, he does it because they get attached, and I don't know, I think it's the next episode, Offer Refuse, where it's James Cameron is attached to it, and
that's when Vince really wants to do it.
Yeah, and everybody, the joke is, which is hilarious, it's like, this could be like the biggest piece of shit movie ever, and it doesn't matter, it's about to do like 500 million at the box office.
That's so true, though. Once you get James Cameron, it's like, no, you got to do this film because, and of course, it's Weinstein. Weinstein is the one that tells.
He refers to himself in the third person. He's like, remember who told you? Josh Weinstein told you.
Josh Weinstein is remember Josh Weinstein told you guys, and Offer Refuse is also the one where Drama is deciding if he wants to get the elective surgery on his what is it, his thigh
calves.
Or his calves. Yeah, he wants new calves. I still can't get over like Drama with these side storylines like these. That's probably my favorite thing of rewatching these is Drama, just his shenanigans that he gets into.
Yeah. He doesn't want to ask Vince for the money. He wants to try to do it himself. He goes to box, what's his name, and gets his ass kicked. And he finally like, yes, ask Vince. And Vince is actually like, I don't know about this type of thing. Like, we'll kind of see. And then once James Cameron is attached and they think they got the role and everything, is like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead, get your surgery. But so he's in, but they don't have it locked down. There's been no official paperwork, and Ari's talking to Dana Gordon, and Dana's like, it's yours. Like, it's fine. You got it. And what's the thing? Like, I'll take you back and we'll go back like it's Cabo. He's like, it was a fucking like Motel 6 somewhere.
When I bet you over in a hotel room in Cabo, give me my motherfucking call back. Ari is just awesome. He's gold. But yeah, I think the end of Offer Refuse is when they're at the club with Billy, because I think they find out that they get into Sundance, and they get the whole spot in the club, and then the club promoter comes over to them and is like, oh, you can have the bigger table, Leo's table. And he was like, oh, Leo's not gonna be here. And he was like, no, he's meeting with James Cameron about some fish film. And then the episode ends with E is like, we are so fucked.
Oh man, what a great show. Yes, so we will see if Vincent Chase gets Aquaman or if Leo swoops in and reunites with James Cameron to do another movie about water. We'll see if that happens. Yeah, Ari, they think they got it, and now we don't know. We do not know. So we'll pick up Entourage reviews again. NBA playoffs, man. There's a lot going on.
Exactly. We're going to talk more NBA playoffs next week, but I think that next week we're going to focus more on the challenge fantasy draft. We got to get a coin before the show to flip the coin to see who gets first pick. If Hannah's here, she's going to get first pick, but if it's just me and Jeremy, then we'll flip.
Why does Hannah get first pick?
Ladies first, of course.
No.
And she's the guest. She's a guest.
So? Care?
I don't want her to get first pick either because I know she's a fan of West too.
No, Hannah doesn't get first pick. It's not. I'm giving her special treatment.
I'm like Cleveland in 2003. You know who I'm picking first, ladies and gentlemen. If I get the first pick, we'll do
a randomizer. We will do a randomizer, and no, Hannah doesn't get first pick. Absolutely not. I'm not giving special treatment to her. Absolutely not. She wouldn't want it that way.
That's true. That is.
Maybe she would. I don't care. It's not happening.
and there is a chance she might pick her boy Mark Long. So
that is true.
So
all right, SP3, plug what you got going on.
Well, follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. My written works at WrestleTalk.com. There's been a lot of conversation about AEW's women's division. I did the 3 pros, 3 cons for AEW's women's division. That's up on WrestleTalk.com right now. Got an interview coming out most likely on Tuesday with Deonna Purrazzo. We talk about her upcoming match on AEW Dynamite with Mercedes Martinez, talk about about Impact Wrestling, Steve Macklin, everything in between. So that's a good interview that's going to be dropping on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. And you can see me on Wrestle Talk Podcast YouTube channel Wednesdays, usually at 2 p.m. Eastern time with Sadie Nyangi reviewing NXT 2.0. And like I said on the show, I'm in the UK, so I will be in the Wrestle Talk office this week. I won't tell you what day. You just have to subscribe over there, Wrestle Talk Podcast YouTube channel. And of course, True Hill Heat YouTube channel tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern time. Myself, Miss Chrissy Love, and the returning top guy, JJ. We're going to talk about the week in wrestling.
Are you going to see Alex McCarthy?
I'm going to try to see Alex while I'm out here, yeah.
Can you punch him for me? You just hit him?
I'm going to randomly do it, and I'm going to be like, this is a gift from Jeremy.
Just like punch him in the face.
Those are a fight on my blog, but
that's all I ask. Yeah, see, Joe Pearl says smack Alex McCarthy. Just see what he says.
Y'all are so mean. Y'all are so mean.
Just
so mean to my brother.
We're enemies. Me and Alex McCarthy are enemies. He didn't wish me well on my engagement. He wished the EP well. He's like, look who you're marrying.
He said not Jeremy. That was great. That was a great post.
So mean. Alex McCarthy's so mean. Well, I hope you do see Alex McCarthy, and if you do, tell him I said hi and tell him that I can't stand him. I saw he did an interview with Drew McIntyre. I was very happy for him.
I told him. Him and Drew are like friends at this point. Like he does so many interviews with him.
I mean, Drew McIntyre is like there used to be the joke of just like that's his hype man. Like Alex McCarthy is Drew McIntyre's hype man. So, good on Alex getting to talk to Drew again. I hope he goes to sleep with it in his Drew McIntyre pajamas and Drew McIntyre bed sheets, cuddling up with his Drew McIntyre buddy brawler, whatever the fuck they call those things. Like hope it's all good for Alex and Drew. And if you see Alex, just hit him with a claymore, actually. Just do that. It'd be fun.
Wonderful.
Tell Alex I said hi if you do see him. You can smack him if you would like. All right.
I will.
All right. Thanks everybody. We'll be back next week to talk more non-wrestling nonsense. Bye everyone. Where'd this pencil